So on this channel, we spend a lot of time talking about guitar and a lot of really in-depth subjects about tone and playing and theory and, the minute differences between certain types of wood or pickups. And a lot of times I tend to forget that a large portion of the audience here are people that are complete beginners, specifically after last year. In 2020, that was the biggest year for new guitar sales in history. So today I thought I would make a video for those people, for that audience, or people that might be thinking about getting into guitars today, specifically electric guitars. This is Electric Guitars 101. Now a quick plug, I made a video course called the Tone Course last year that goes into really deep detail on the ins and outs of electric guitar tone and how to get the sound that's in your head out of your speakers. And some of the concepts we cover in today's video, I go more in depth in that video course. And if you click the link in the description box down below, you can actually get 35% off of the Tone Course. With all that out of the way, let's jump in and take a look at our first guitar. So this is an electric guitar, a Fender Stratocaster. Now, most electric guitars are going to share a lot of the same components. The body, which in this case is a solid piece of wood, so we call it a solid body guitar. We have the neck, which in this guitar's case is bolted on, so we call this a bolt-on guitar or a bolt neck guitar. We have the headstock with the tuning machines, which allow us to tune the guitar. We've got the frets here. This down here is the bridge. Now, depending on the type of guitar you have, you may have a regular bridge that doesn't move, or in this guitar's case, we actually have what's called a tremolo system. So if you see this bar here, this is called a whammy bar. And what that allows me to do is actually modulate the sound or the pitch of the guitar. Here we have the output jack, which is what sends the signal from the guitar to the amplifier down a cable. A lot of times people call that an input jack. It's actually not, it's an output jack. Then we have our basic electronics, our controls here. We have the volume knob, which allows me to turn the guitar's volume up or down. Then we have the tone controls, which changes the brightness, how bright the guitar sounds. If I roll this knob back, it's gonna get darker. Then here we have our selector switch for the pickups. Now, the pickups are the most important part of any electric guitar. These are basically the soul of the guitar. And you can kind of think of them like three little microphones. They sit underneath the strings and they pick up the string's vibration, send it through the electronics, and then out the output jack to your amplifier via a cable. Now, pickups are very important. These are what give the guitar its voice. And this particular guitar has three different pickups in different positions. Now, you might think when I play the guitar that you're hearing all three pickups at one time, but you're actually not. And that's what this switch is here for. The Fender Stratocaster has a 5-way switch on it. And what that allows me to do is switch between these pickups individually, but also combine them in unique ways to give the guitar different sounds. Now, my first electric guitar was a Strat, sort of like this one. And it took me a little over a year to figure out what this switch actually did. So let me show you. When it's all the way down, pointed towards the floor in this first position, as we call it, we have just the bridge pickup by itself. If I go up 2 clicks to the third position, this is the middle pickup by itself. And then if I go all the way up towards the neck of the guitar in the 5th position, we have just the neck pickup by itself. Now you should hear a pretty distinct difference in the way the guitar sounds based off of which pickup you're hearing, and that's by design. But this guitar has 2 extra positions which are unique to the Stratocaster, what we call the 2 and the 4 position. And what that does here in the 2 position is combine the bridge and the middle pickup together to give you this sort of quacky sound. And a similar thing happens in the 4th position, only this time we're hearing the middle and the neck together. So the guitar we've been talking about so far is the Fender Stratocaster, and this is arguably the most famous guitar in the world. If I were to ask you to picture an electric guitar in your head, more than likely this is the one that you're thinking of, but it's certainly not the only example of a solid body electric guitar. Now the Strat was developed in early 1954 by Leo Fender, and it's pretty astonishing because Leo wasn't a musician or a guitar player. He was just an engineer and inventor, a bit of a genius actually, because this guitar has basically stayed mostly the same since 1954. He really got the design right out of the gate. But there is another example of a solid body electric guitar that is arguably just as popular as the Stratocaster, and it's this, the Gibson Les Paul. Now this was developed around the same time as the Strat by Gibson, 1952-53. And the man for which the guitar was named after actually didn't design it. It's kind of a misconception, but Les Paul was a brilliant guitar player. He was a bit of a rock star for his time, and this was his signature model. Now these are both solid body electric guitars, but that's essentially where the similarities end. It's hard to get further apart than these two models. For example, the Fender is a bolt neck design, whereas the Gibson has the neck glued into the body. Also, the wood that these two guitars are made of is completely different. This one is made of a piece of alder. This is a slab of mahogany with a piece of maple glued to the top. Even the headstock designs are completely different. This has 6 inline tuners. This has 3 and 3. The Stratocaster has a tremolo bridge. The Les Paul has a stop tail, but the biggest difference between these two are the pickups. The Stratocaster has 3 single coils like we just heard, and the Les Paul has 2 humbucking pickups. Single coils are known for having an inherent flaw, which is what's called a 60 cycle hum. They buzz, they make noise. So in the early 1950s, Gibson was looking for a solution to that noise. And what they developed was this, the humbucking pickup, or humbucker as we call it. And essentially it's just 2 single coil pickups stacked together and wound together to cancel out the noise. But because of the different design, these pickups sound completely different than these pickups do. Let me show you. Now, because of the different pickups on the Les Paul, our selector switch is a little bit different. Instead of having 5 positions like we do on the Stratocaster, we only have 3 here. When it's in the down position or the treble position on the little poker chip here, we just get the bridge by itself, which is punchy and bright and has a lot of attack to it. Then when we go into the middle position here, we have both pickups together. And then one of my personal favorites is the neck pickup or the rhythm position here on the poker chip. All right, so let's say you're at your local guitar store, or you're looking online and you see your typical Stratocasters, Les Pauls, other common solid body electrics like the Telecaster, but then you also start seeing stuff like this. What is this? Why is it shaped so much different? Why does it have these F-holes on the side? Well, this is a semi-hollow electric guitar, and it's sort of a bridge between the solid bodies that we've been talking about so far and the old school big hollow body jazz guitars of the 30s, 40s, and early 50s. This is a Gibson ES335. And what's happening here is a typical set neck Gibson construction going into a solid piece of maple, a solid block of wood that runs the entire length of the body here. And this is where the pickups are mounted, the bridge is mounted, but on either side we have these big open hollow chambers. And what that allows the guitar to do is to resonate more, almost more like an acoustic guitar would. So if I play it unplugged without the amp, you'll hear this guitar is pretty loud. And that's because more of the wood, more of the body itself is actually resonating. Now, when you play it with the amp on, you'll notice a slight difference in sound compared to the solid body Les Paul. It's a little warmer, it's a little more resonant, and in my opinion, it's just more woody. Now, this is a pretty good time to point out the fact that the wood that the guitar is made of actually has an effect on the tone or the voice of the guitar. Different woods lend different tonal characteristics to different guitars. The weight of the wood and the overall guitar, the species of the wood that it's made of, and the way it's constructed all have an effect on the way the guitar sounds. So since we've covered some of the basics of electric guitars, let's talk for a second about how to pick the right guitar. More than likely, you've spent some time online and been overwhelmed at the just sheer amount of options of different guitars out there, from different brands to different models and even sub-models. It can be really overwhelming. But if you're looking for your first guitar, or you're looking for even your second guitar, I wouldn't worry about any of that. Here's what I would look for. What's your favorite shape? What's your favorite color? Pick a guitar that you like the look of. Maybe you have a favorite guitar player. Go get what they play. If you're a John Mayer fan, go get a Strat. When you're first starting out, you're not going to be able to really tell the difference between different pickups and different tone woods or body shapes. Instead, you want something that's going to excite you when you play it, when it's sitting on its stand in your room or in your house, something that entices you to play it. You love the way it looks. You love the way it feels when you're sitting down and play it. That's what you should pick. Now, whether that's a Strat or a Les Paul like we've talked about, or it's a Telecaster or something that we didn't even touch on in this video, it doesn't necessarily matter. Get the guitar that excites you. And that's actually good advice no matter how long you've been playing guitar. I've been playing for almost 20 years now, and I still buy guitars and get interested in guitars, not just by their tone or their pickup combination, but by the way they look. For me, that's a huge part of what excites me about a specific guitar. And as you gain more experience over the years, you'll learn what you like. You'll learn what types of sounds you like, what types of pickups. You'll learn what weight is a good weight for you with specific models, like the Telecaster, for example. You'll learn what fits your playing style and what doesn't, but that takes time. When you're just starting out, just get something that excites you when you look at it, makes you want to pick it up and play it. So that is Electric Guitars 101. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section down below. The cool thing about this channel is there's a lot of really experienced players and a lot of experts that watch these videos. And so if you're one of those experienced players, jump down in the comments section and help out some of the beginners that might be leaving their questions down there. Also, don't forget you can get 35% off of my tone course via the link in the description box down below. And while you're down there, I'll have some affiliate links to some of my favorite guitar models, specifically for beginners, a little bit more budget friendly, solid body electric models that I think are great options to start off with. Those are affiliate links. So if you buy something through one of those links, I earn a small commission, which helps me out in running the channel. And I thank you for that. Be sure to subscribe down there and leave a like if you haven't done so already. My name is Rhett Shull. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, there is no plan B.